Like A Dragon Ishin is the newest installment of the Yakuza franchise. However, this game is actually a remake of a spin-off game released in 2014 on the PS4 and 3. It was only released in Japan, however, at the time, and after Sega saw the success of Ghost of Tsushima, they decided to tune it up and bring it on over to the States. I'm also going to do my best to keep this video spoiler-free, however there may be some teases in the footage. This story is a historical fiction drama that focuses around the 1860s and the events that led Japan into the Meiji Restoration. This is an era of political, economic, and social change that modernized and westernized Japan and ended the feudal Edo period. Which translates to guns and samurais, baby, woohoo! While this is a Yakuza-style game, it does not tie into the normal Yakuza scenario at all. It does, however, use the character models throughout the franchise, and throws in a little bit of their personality flair just to keep it a little spicy. You don't really need any knowledge of who they are outside, but franchise fans will definitely find this exciting and be waiting for when they'll see their favorite character pop up. Also, this game does look pretty good for being a PS3 and 4 remake. They did update the textures for sure, but some side characters can look pretty jank and low res. I mean, look at this low res dog. Now, you're going to be doing a lot of the stuff that makes the Yakuza franchise stand out. Learning the streets, helping the locals, eating and drinking at establishments, saving innocent folks from bullies, getting a job at a ramen shop, singing karaoke with your coworkers, all while trying to gain reputation within the city. Now, the combat on this game uses a hack and slash style beat 'em up where you can fight groups of enemies. However, most of the main bosses end up being a one-on-one fight with a lot of flair thrown in.
Like sumo style? Ah!
Oh yeah. The combat does feel a little rough at first and somewhat limited. Once you fill out your sphere grid from Final Fantasy X and start learning some new tricks from the weapons masters as well, it really starts to feel good when you can pull off some specially timed abilities. One of the first styles you start out with is Brawler. This is your basic hand-to-hand style. You'll kick, punch, grab, all while parrying and dodging at the same time. This style really shines in the early game as it has the most fluidity to it from the get-go. You can even pick things up in the environment and show people the power of citrus. This style does seem to fall off later on in the game though, as you can't really upgrade the equipment for it as you can with the other styles. I mean, you do get percentage increases on certain gear slots, but that really just isn't enough to keep it relevant. The second style you start with is the Katana, and this honestly felt pretty rough for me to use at first. It feels super cumbersome and clunky in the beginning, and around mid-game, where Brawler starts to fall off, I found myself using this more and more as I had more abilities to it and could use it more effectively. It also was really effective using in boss fights that were 1v1, because you can actually defend yourself in this style more than others, and it was really useful when you're trying to download the boss's moveset. Bosses also seem more likely to do katana drops instead, so usually this makes it your highest damage weapon other than special weapons like large katanas, cannons, or hammers, but I found myself rarely ever using these, as while they're fun, you don't really get any bonus XP with them, so I kind of stopped using them. The third style you get is your trusty sidearm, and this does exactly what you'd expect it to do. You whip it out, you pistol whip a motherfucker, and then you can shoot them from a distance, even hitting multiple folks at once with combos. You even get special ammo that allow you to enhance your shots with various elements like lightning, fire, or even acid, which helps you kill armored enemies easier and liquor betas. Now the final style you get is Wild Dancer. This is a glass cannon style that blends east and west together, so you're going to be using your katana and your sidearm at the same time. This style makes it super easy to take care of groups of enemies and do a lot of damage fast. It also gives you a really quick and easy to use dodge super early on, and you even get parry attacks that with proper timing can do cool little combos. There is one big drawback though with this style, is that you can no longer block, which makes it super dangerous to use against some bosses. And some bosses have large enough ranges to where you won't be able to do that cool dodge to get out of the way either. Also, your strongest parry attack, at least as far as I was leveled up, only works on swords. It can be completely useless when you're fighting certain enemies. The most common strategy I found myself using was I would build up my heat gauge in Brawler Katana style, which heat gauge lets you use your special attacks and all your cool special moves. Then I would switch to Wild Dancer and burn through all my meter using its fancy damaging abilities. Now to push combat even further than this, you also have a squad or unit abilities. Throughout the game, you're able to recruit soldiers and they'll join your squad, and while they aren't physically in battle with you, they are there in spirit. You assign a commander for each of your 4 styles, and then underneath each one you can put 1 to 4 soldiers. These do all sorts of things, like enhancement buffs, heals. They even do spells like chain lightning or a wind knockback. These soldiers also level up with you, but they're capped by their rank, so uncommon soldiers can't level up that high, but if you have a legendary or epic soldier, they can level up much further. There's also a special mission mode where it lets you unlock more soldiers, upgrade them further, and even get special items for the regular game. This mission mode reminded me a lot of Dynasty Warriors. You just run around hacking and slashing right through a level, killing bad guys, and eventually get to a boss, and the level's over. It's pretty simple and straightforward, but I did find it quite fun. Now I did find the combat fun and somewhat addicting, but it does suffer from being simple at times. I mean, you usually just find your basic bread and butter combos that you want to use, and then you just keep using them over and over again. The flashy visuals keep you invested and keeping on going.
Is this the easiest boss in the game? It might in fact be. This may be the easiest boss in the I mean, using one hand.
The main thing that's going to keep you invested, though, is the story. As I said before, this is a historical fiction drama that leans very heavily on these drama elements. He plays a samurai, Sakimoto Ryoma, and he's on his quest to help end feudalism in Japan and bring democracy to Japan. His quest initially starts with him looking for a certain combat style and keeps evolving further from there. You get a story of brotherhood, people trying to escape their pasts, betrayal, love, backstabbing, front stabbing, political struggle, and the past catching up to people who's trying to escape it. And it really does play out like an old school samurai movie, which means you're gonna be reading.
I'm Batman!
Because while this game is voice acted, it's not in English at all and seems to have no plans of dropping an English dub.
That water was only 2 inches deep!
The story does suffer from the same thing the combat does though. It takes a while to ramp up before it really gets good. It's a bit of a slow burn. And it does suffer a little bit from being a little over dramatic at times, and it has a lot of those cheesy tropes you see a lot in dramas and animes. Like, Ryoma is always the honorable, stoic guy, and he ends up pulling a Batman card trying to never kill people, but we're seeing what you're doing in those streets, Ryoma. But what this means is that when you beat a boss, you always end up having some heart-to-heart moral lesson afterwards, and they always end up seeing the error of their ways, and sometimes it just gets a little cheesy and over the top. Like, you'll fight a straight-up cold-blooded killer, and then all of a sudden he's crying like a baby because he's so sorry afterwards. Now, this is the general style of Yakuza games, and I do enjoy it, but it can cause you to give the occasional eye roll at times. This isn't sitcom levels of cringe, though, because most characters are pretty cool, pretty interesting, and you do get invested in them, and they're all very well done. The game also does a really good job at recapping at the end of each chapter, which I found to be super helpful, because sometimes you'll get lost up in the sauce of doing all the side quests and going down that rabbit hole, and you'll kind of forget exactly where you were at the main story. And these side quest stories range in tone wildly, and they help break up the very serious tone that this main story has. You get overly dramatic kids, a fisherman who can't fish, saving a barking dog from being put down, running naked through the streets, tricked into a sumo brothel,
Oh no.
getting new subscribers, and whatever this is supposed to be.
Somebody enjoyed themselves way too much when they made this.
One of my personal favorite quests was the one where you have to entertain a famous artist for a night out. You have to keep entertaining him in various ways, and as you entertain him more, he gets inspired to make artwork, and I don't know, I just thought it was a pretty cool quest.
I just inspired a great artist. Because that's what I do. I inspire people. Is it weird that I like it?
You also have a whole second life where you manage a farm. Cook food. Manage a produce business. While pets are finding things for you.
Play with me. You.
There's also tons of mini games that help keep things fresh on the side, like chopping wood, fishing,
Damn.
singing. And even dance. And even though I was terrible at it, I found the dancing in the game to be the most enjoyable for me. Also, after you beat the game, you get 2 new game modes, a fighting challenge, which, as you can guess, has you keep fighting, and Bakumutsu Premium Adventure Mode. What that means is you can run around the world freely without any of the story stuff coming at you. It's purely just to do side quests and side games. And to give you an idea of how much side stuff there is in this game, I only did a few hours of maybe extra stuff, but then once I beat the game, I was only at 20% completion once the credits rolled, so yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can do. Now, I am somewhat new to the Yakuza franchise. The only one I played before this was Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, which plays completely different than the usual Yakuza style, because it's a JRPG with turn-based combat instead of this beat-em-up style. I do feel like I can safely say that Yakuza games are usually worth the price, because they're just packed with content and you definitely get your money's worth. And while this game is an action-adventure beat-em-up style game, it does feel like an RPG because it's just so story-driven. I think if you're looking for a more grounded RPG that isn't dealing with the world ending in some catastrophic way, and is actually somewhat historically relevant, this game could be a good fit. It also has a more active combat style, which can be a little bit more exciting. I think I would personally give this game an 8.1. I enjoyed the story, even if it was a little corny and is at times just a big patriotic tribute to Japan, but I'm looking forward to jumping right back in and finishing some more of the side missions and the side fights. Critically, I'm going to go a little lower though and give it a 7.7, because it can be pretty slow at times, and while I personally enjoyed the story, I can see how it's not exactly for everyone, and the combat can feel a little bit bare bones. I also think you should have fought Tom Cruise at the end.